Okay. I'm getting real sick and tired of all these non contact injuries in football. I mean, it happens in other sports too. And I swear it's correlated to the turf. And it's just purely out of the greed of these NFL teams. But uh, I just wanted to find a few articles to like support my claims because I feel like it costs them even more in like player salaries than it would to just install grass. And it's just like irritating me so much. So here, I got a couple of things here for you. All right, so this study, um, they wanted to check, okay, what are the injuries difference between grass and turf? Um, and if I scroll down here, this is just whatever, some background on turf and grass. But if we look at these tables, all right, so injuries by year, um, this is just 2021 and 22. This is what the data is collected on. Turf to grass, not too much of a difference, right? 54 more injuries on turf. It's football, people are gonna get injured, right? Those are just the total injuries. Um, but if you go down here and you look at the amount of, where is it? The amount of surgeries needed. So on grass it's 50, on turf it was 83. That's a pretty massive difference right there. Almost double the amount of injuries on turf required a massive surgery. So that's where, things are like, okay, that's not very good. Um, then if you go with here, summary of lower extremity in surgeries. So usually this is a surgery you need because of a non-contact injury, which would be caused by the turf. So Achilles, there's a couple more on turf. That's not like a massive difference. ACL reconstruction though, look at the difference there. Almost double the amount of ACL injuries are from turf compared to grass, or at least major ones that require surgery. That's pretty messed up. Patellar tendon, 8 of them required massive surgery. That should not be tendon repair. Like, if you have a tendon injury, it should not be that massive, especially as an elite level athlete where you need surgery on it. That's more than double. Foot injury, double. MCL, you don't even need MCL repairing on grass. There were four major surgeries on turf. So what I'm getting at is that turf essentially is just much more risky for the players. It's harder on their joints, harder on the tendons. And it's just not fair to any of these players because some of these some of these people you see the occasional elite level athlete come back and they're fine. Some of these people never play again. These injuries bother them the rest of their life as they get older. It kind of comes back when their youth starts to go. It's just not fair. It's like lifelong effects. And yep. So this is just more. I'm gonna leave all these links in my description probably if you want to really read through this stuff. But this is because this study was very interesting. Um, but there's 20% more lower extremity injuries in field turf compared to grass. 20% more is insane. So if you just install grass everywhere, you would have 20% less lower extremity injuries, possibly even more. 22% increase in knee and ankle injuries. So that's a lot. That is a significant difference. What else do we got here? Of the 32 articles. Oh, okay. Yeah, these are just articles that researched it. 53 articles across football, soccer, and other sports. 32 of them compared injuries on turf to grass. Of the 32 articles, only 3 of them reported a higher injury rate on grass. And this could be due to them involving soccer, because soccer, first of all, there's way more soccer games played, way more leagues. Secondly, almost all their games are played on grass. So that could be why these three articles reported a higher overall injury rate, but I don't know. I'd have to look into the sources that were used for this study. But that would be my speculation for that. Okay, and that's just the NFL. I'm pretty much just talking about the NFL today because it's really starting to bother me. I love watching football, and it's just not fair to any of these guys. As I get older, I'm just like, when I was younger, it's like, oh, injury, no, that stinks. But like now, I'm like, this could like ruin, their body for the rest of their life. This is just not fair. So, is that all I wanted to talk about for this one? Oh yeah, artificial turf doesn't absorb force as well, so that increases its injury. And there's players that talk about this. Like, if I've seen a couple interviews or articles of previous players from an interview, and they'll say like they feel more sore the next day if they have been training like heavy on turf, like intensely on turf. I just don't like it. So that's just the general gist of it, right? Like from this specific article, it clearly shows that turf is more dangerous, but let me move on to this now. Okay. What did I want to talk about here? Oh, this is an article from a previous player, part of the NFLPA.com, by the way. So the Players Association. He's probably speaking on behalf of all of them. So I wanted to include this because he's speaking from personal experience. He played mostly on turf in college, but then he got to the NFL, started experiencing turf and grass interchangeably, and then started to understand why his teammates did not like practicing on turf. He says, whenever I practiced on an artificial surface, my joints felt noticeably stiffer the next day. The unforgiving nature of artificial turf compounds the grind on the body we already bear from playing a contact sport. It's literally in the name artificial. Like, grass is obviously going to be better for the human body. The artificial turf, maybe they need to maybe in the future turf will be on par with grass if they continue to develop better technology, but like right now it's just not good. It's not good for the players. I've been saying this literally like since I was like 12 years old. So it's crazy that a 12-year-old can identify this and these NFL teams will not budge. It's so frustrating. So yeah, as anyone who's watching this probably knows, football players output an extreme high level of force. Grass gives and releases the cleat prior to reaching an injurious load. Okay, the grass, the soil, that has way more give to it for the human body. Synthetic surface, there's less give. It's like stiff. If anyone's been on turf before, you kind of know how much different it feels than if you were on grass. So then your foot can get stuck in the turf, and then your foot could get hurt, your ankle could get hurt, your Achilles, your knee can completely tear because your foot is stuck in the turf, and then your body keeps going. So that's pretty much how the injury happens. So yeah, data supports that it's harder on the body than grass. I'm sure there's been so many studies on this. I just picked a couple that kind of support my argument. These stats are crazy. So based on NFL injury data collected from 2012 to 2018, not only was the contact injury rate for lower extremities higher during practices and games held on artificial turf, NFL players consistently experienced a much higher rate of non-contact lower extremity injuries on turf compared to natural surfaces. Specifically, players have a 28% higher rate of non-contact lower extremity injuries when playing on artificial turf. Like, what is that, dude? 28% of those non-contact injuries, players have a 32% higher rate of non-contact knee injuries and 69% higher rate of non-contact foot or ankle injuries. So the first thing I think of with that is how everyone was clowning on Aaron Rodgers because the second play of the game for the Jets, he just tore his Achilles. And they were playing on turf. And look, I don't really like Aaron Rodgers, but it's not fair to him still. You know, that's like the proof in the pudding is right there. He was an elite level athlete, almost never got injured. So those stats are just insane to me. Whether I think that's all I pretty much wanted to talk about here. Again, I'm gonna link all these in the description. Okay, so then some of these owners of the teams are, their argument is, oh, it would cost too much to maintain the grass. Okay, all right, let's look at the cost. Let's look at the cost. All right, so putting a new grass field in costs around $300,000 to $500,000, and that might need to be replaced like once or twice a year. So we're talking about maybe $1 million annually, right? Okay, that's for a big franchise, that billion-dollar franchise. That's not that bad, right? Few million max, right? Let's just say, I'll even be generous and say, let's say you spend $5 million every year on grass, okay? Turf is $1 to $2 million to install initially, and then it lasts about 5 years. Let's go on the higher end again, 5 years. So every 5 years you have to pay $2 million. Every year you have to pay, like, let's just say $5 million, okay? So yeah, in the long run, just when we're looking at turf versus grass, turf would be less expensive, okay? But what about injuries? How much money are these players getting injured costing each team? Let's look at this. So $6.7 million per team per season. So this is more expensive in the long run. So if you have the turf cost, right, let's just do some basic math. $2 million, right? Every 3 years, okay? That's going to be $6 million. Or wait, $2 million every 3 years. So $2 million after, let's just say every 5 years. So after a 10-year period, you've spent $4 million on turf. Over that 10-year period, you would also spend $67 million on dead cap because these players can't play. So that's a total of $69 million. Then you have grass, $500,000 to install, and then a few million per year, so $5 million each year. After a 10-year period, that's $50 million. $50 million is less than $70 million. So you would actually spend less using grass because all these people are not going to get injured. Okay? Like, it's just so frustrating. And then one last kicker I'll put in here. Average NFL salary, $3.2 million per year. I had the amount of injuries per team. I forget what it was. Oops. Oh well. I'll just end the video there. I just wanted to rant about this. It's really frustrating. I'm sure somebody out there has put in a lot better of a video. But just everyone switch to grass. They should make a rule. I hope the NFLPA is working toward it. I haven't really seen anything public about it. I hope behind the scenes that they're trying to fix this because it's just awful. I hate seeing it. All right, that's all I got for this one. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching.